Since days beyond recall, adventurers have roamed these lands. But within each story lies a hidden tale. For the heroes of this tale are those who have suffered the most. Goblins. And now, they fight back. Their journey requires strength, wit, and skill. Expand their lair and grow their numbers. The road is long and the world vast. But do not despair, for a great power will guide them. The time of the goblins has finally come. Since days beyond...
Hello everyone and welcome back to the third day of IndieX, where we'll be showcasing more games from incredible and very passionate developers. And today we're going to start with Goblin Stone from Orc Chop Games. And honestly, the best thing to do is just let the people know, talk about it. And I'm going to have a developer with me. I'm going to have Vince McDonnell from Orc Chop Games with me, talking about this new game, Goblin Stone. Hi Vince, how are you? Welcome. I'm doing well, and it's a pleasure having you. So let's just Vince fix that microphone issue, and then we'll be going straight. Vince, can you hear me now? Okay. I think everything is fine now. The people on the stream can hear him. Okay, it's just 1 second to fix the issues. All good. But like I was saying, so okay, everything should be good now. Vince, can people hear you now? Okay, awesome. Yeah, everyone can hear. So, like I was saying, welcome to IndieX, and welcome here to showcase your Goblin Stone game. How are you? Okay, there's still an issue. Okay, let's just see if our production can help Vince to fix the issue, because everything was fine, but you know it's a live program. There's always problems. It's okay. We're gonna fix it, and we'll go straight to the game, to Goblin Stone. So, like I was saying, you had 2 amazing days of IndieX. The first one with almost, I'm sure it was like 12 hours plus, and yesterday was a little bit smaller, but we still have 3 more days of IndieX to go to watch a lot of games, to see how much passion there is in the gaming industry from indie companies. And now, Vince, is this the time? Is it okay now?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. Okay, now it's
Okay,
fine. So Vince,
wonderful.
let's start from the
Looks like we all
beginning.
got it sorted out.
It's okay. It's okay. Welcome again. And how are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, and I hope to. So I'm excited to be here to talk about Goblin Stone and show the game to you guys, and we all play together.
Awesome. So, like the other showcase, I'm going to be playing the game while you talk with me, while you talk about Goblin Stone and the process behind the development. But just before going into the game, I'm just going to be real straight with you. So, what is exactly Goblin Stone? What can the players expect from this new game that hasn't even launched yet?
That's right. It's still in development. It's launched QA, and Goblin Stone is about sort of the oppression of against goblins. You can imagine adventuring parties sort of beating up on level 1 goblins, and with that, what lies the other side of that, right? How do goblins live with this kind of environment and atmosphere, and how do they cope? I think there's a lot of interesting stories to be told. And so this game, you play sort of with that as the goblins and go through their journey, and try to basically this cruel world that's trying to get.
Okay, so I think that the best thing to do now is really go straight into the game. And like you said to
Absolutely.
me before going live, this is a very heavy narrated game. So I'm gonna start a new story, a new game. I've tested the game for like 5 minutes, I'll admit it. I'm gonna go straight into a new game and just see how it starts. Just gonna hear everything that the game has to tell us. Yeah, sure. I want to delete. I'm going to start again.
So you notice that we have a little storybook there, so it's setting the mood for what the game to expect.
Hmm.
And as soon as this section, we'll start to hear the narration of the game, hopefully.
A most familiar setting for the
There you go.
adventurer. Dark and musty halls, teeming with foul creatures, forgotten treasures, and copious amounts of experience points. Entombed in this particular cavernous hallway is an artifact of profound significance. A gemstone like no other. In pursuit of this artifact, 3 stoic adventurers delve into the darkness, eager to plumb its depths, unwitting to what lies in wait.
Okay, we learned the basics of combat in this dungeon. Okay, you can move with mouse and. So, we listened to a small narration in the beginning, and I'm gonna ask you what inspired Goblin Stone, and what made you create a game that is has such a heavy emphasis on the narrative part.
So my background actually was in console games. Then I transitioned into mobile games and wanted to make a PC game on my own. And so I started with in mind that I wanted to create a very interesting story, told the perspective of something that's not very common. And at the time, playing games that sort of inspired it. So I things like Dungeons, Dark Forest, and also this dungeon with cool side scroll format, which I actually have never. And so our combat takes a lot of inspiration from things like that. And then of course you'll see elements of a very like tactile UI. Those come from games that I was playing also at the time. Stone was the prime example of that.
Okay.
And so you'll notice we don't go for list UI. Everything most of it is actually, and they move around. So those are the primary sort of that I had, and of course the type of games that I personally are the games that are play at your own pace, right? Rush you, that don't pressure you much to act in the moment. So this game is like very much like that. You can take your time, think of what you're gonna do, plan out, build your team better, and experience it the way the pacing that you want.
Okay, so we just finished our first combat, and like you're saying, it's very tactical based. More, of course, this is just the first combat, so it's gonna be very basic, just to show you how the game works. But I suppose that it gets very in depth, maybe tactical in the beginning. In the beginning, now in the end, maybe you have like offensive abilities, defensive abilities. Tell me a little more about the combat.
Yeah, later on, this is the tutorial, and it's actually quite long. It's meant to ease you into the game because later in the game it does get a bit more involved, and you have a lot more options, slightly more complex. So we aim to start the player off sort of feed him bit by bit, um, and have him try certain mechanics first, and then introduce more, and have him try the succeed after that. And so what we're seeing here are 3 areas basically, and setting up the player to understand kind of what adventurer's mindset is versus how goblins, the other hand of the adventurer's blade feel, and that's sort of shown here during this of the tutorial.
Okay, so we have another combat this time with more enemies. There's this cost, and this should be power. Just guide me through it. This is power. Attack to this with damage. Okay.
So equipped weapons, your power, and there's no equipped weapons, so we introduce that a bit later.
Okay.
We have very limited options at this point, and it's mainly to how the flow goes. You see how we have a time bar up top, and whoever gets this first is the first to act, and then they go back in line. So everyone ends up to fight. And it took us to get that just right to make it feel good. and also something that would be easy for the player to comprehend. So we took a lot of great care to sort of designing how it would function and how it would appear.
Okay, there's a bit more complexity now. You have some tired characters. These tired characters, how long does it take for them to be good? Is as soon as they cross this stew mark?
So for the stun characters, they stay still on the timeline, and that goes on for like maybe 2 time units. And eventually, when the timer runs out, they'll start being able to move again on the timeline.
Okay, nice taken care of. What happens when your party dies? By the way, do you start from the beginning? Do you start from a last saved game?
So yes, that's very interesting. The game continuously saves, so your decisions count. For example, if you made a grave error or one of your character dies, that's and if you try to read the game to that state where your character died. So it's fair to consider your current options, make sure that you're doing the right thing, and the luck is going your way, and your characters don't die, and you stay alive. So it's that kind of game.
So as soon as your character dies, they're dead for good. At least on this save, right?
That's true. You're goblins at
Okay,
least when you're out of
that's
the
nice.
tutorial.
Okay.
One must slay great quantities of goblin for a decent recompense.
And I think what's interesting about the game of goblins in that sense is that thematically goblins are viewable. They have shins, so it sort of plays into that. It's true that in
They chance upon
easily
greedy
you
little
know they could
birds.
easily die.
Treasure rightfully theirs, being plundered in front of their very
So
eyes.
while I'm playing this tutorial, I'd like to ask you, and since we have this like screen that appeared in like a comic book way of showing things, I'd like to ask you about the art direction of the game. Why this look? Why everything is like the way we're seeing it?
Okay, so yeah, so there's reason behind that too. We're a small team, wanted to tell a big story, and there's really we can, with a side-scrolling format in terms of cutscenes and visuals to be able to basically impart the story upon the viewer, the player. So in that we instead opted for full screen images or illustrations, and we have quite a bit. It's pretty much almost like a novel. We have about 150 plus full screen images
They appear throughout
that
the
are
game like
fully,
this one, right?
yeah, and then they're just sprinkled throughout the story, throughout
Okay.
the, so you kind of learn what happens as you play. So the narrator's with you all this times, and he'll tell the story whenever those images show up. Is
So
the
many
resolution?
people.
Sorry, is
Sorry?
the resolution on your end clear? It's a bit fuzzy on my end.
Yeah, everything is perfect on the stream.
Wonderful.
Everything is perfect for the people watching.
The goblins soon realize they have no chance at survival. In desperation, they hurl their loot at the assailants.
And you made these images, these things we're watching. Only one people, several people. Are they part of the team? Are they like outsourced?
Sanctuary of darkness.
Oh, the team itself.
Mhm.
We don't typically outsource. We have for a few jobs to complete the project, but most of the game itself is the same people have been working on it all throughout. Our lead artist, for example, who's very good at doing the 2D illustrations, does a lot of it. He does actually more now. But things like those bats flying, it's the same person who's doing that. And so it's all kind of in-house between these two studios. We have a studio in Manila where our bulk of our team is, and a studio, and we kind of just collaborate and work together on this project.
Okay, and how long has this game been in development, and when do you expect to release it? If you can tell me, that.
Yeah, so we're expecting to release it probably first quarter of next year. So we're really
So it's
trying.
almost there.
Yeah, it's been a long journey for all of us. For me specifically, it's about 6 years, maybe a little bit more even.
Okay.
Starting from we had a very small start, and then as
Mhm.
we ramped up the studio as things progressed. For most of the people on the team, it's been about 4 years, I'd say.
And what's the size of the team? How many people are working on Goblin Stone?
So in Beijing, we have four people. There
Okay.
are two there, the lead engineers in Beijing, and then we also have two is an environment artist, which you see all that interesting background, and the other is a 3D artist and animator. So if you notice the characters, they are 3D with
Mhm.
a shader that kind of sort of has these little hatch lines on them to
Yeah,
make
yeah.
them fit the environment. And then in our studio locally, we have our lead artist who takes care of the illustration, a lot of the also he handles that, and he also handles any kind of outsourced work that we would need, and sometimes we do, like I mentioned. So for VFX, for example, it's some we do to outsource. And then the design team is also here locally, and the production team as well. And then we have a community manager and social media strategist, and the admin team that sort of helps to keep the studio.
Okay, so I mean, looking back at the beginning of production, at the beginning of like that brainstorming part where you want to make a game and you're thinking about how you want to make a game and how will the game look. How does it compare to the almost final product that you have here that we're showing right now?
Um, for the visuals, I think it's pretty faithful to the original vision.
Okay.
We're seeing here this level is our oldest. And if we look at this level compared to some of the newer levels, we can pretty much it's the same in terms of style and polish. So visually, this is a good representation or great representation of what we originally wanted to achieve. And it's very hand drawn and sort of sketchy and raw, and that's the kind of look that we were going for. To get
Okay.
this specific look, which we like to refer to as like a storybook vibe kind of visuals, we actually had to look at actual and see how they were illustrated. Um, and there's a couple that come to mind that were pretty interesting that we really and we tried to copy what we saw in those styles, the way things are illustrated, and see how that can fit in a game and sort of make sense. So what we have now is sort of this cardboard theater setup that showcases
It
that.
indeed appears to be the artifact the adventurers
Okay, so we
so
found
fervently
the
coveted.
Goblin Stone, the thing
As
that
the stone
names the
awakens from
game.
its slumber,
I think.
it radiates a light both beautiful and blinding. Strange spirits emanate from the stone. They swirl and undulate in jubilation. As the awe-struck goblins peer into the brightness, the spirits speak out. They bid the goblins to seek a sacred place deep within the woods, and there rest the stone. Faced with such a spectacle, the goblins muster what they can to break their stupor. They pocket the stone and head for the surface.
Okay, so we have our roads lined up. So I have one question because from what I'm watching here from the narrative part, this looks like it has some big inspiration on some big fantasy worlds like the Tolkien book. So am I correct? Am I wrong?
Yes, it's heavily inspired by the works of Tolkien and also the world of Dungeons and Dragons in
Mm-hmm.
general. So if you
Okay.
can imagine how goblins are in the world, how they feel as entities present in a world that's full of adventurers out to get them because they're pretty
They
much
are greeted
on
by
the
spring
totem monsters.
winds and the
So
Yeah.
echo of new leaves stirring in the breeze.
they're numerous, and they level one to higher levels. So that's kind of the in the world, and we get to see how a world like that, how in a world like that. So it is very by Tolkien and Dungeons and Dragons. But
Place of
goblins in
tranquility
this
and
uh,
rest.
version are friendly, right? They're kind of you'd be have to for this story to work.
They repose for a moment
Okay,
on the warm
about this
plains.
thing I just found is like a campsite. These two I had to choose between two buffs. Are they passive? Because the one I chose it says I'm more fast on my each party member combat speed is increased by 10%. Is this passive for the entire game? Is this for only this quest for this level? How does it work?
Yeah, so sure, it's only for the specific level.
Okay.
When you get to eventually the layer where we have a home base, we can get to see the game loop. It goes like you go on an adventure, complete that, you go back to something like what you're seeing now. It's which would be the your base, and then buffs that specific duration of the
Mm-hmm.
adventure. Then they reset once you get back.
And you can equip your characters before going into to a level, right? Like
Correct.
they,
There's a like a loadout room where we have more goblins and more equipment, and more in this
okay.
part of the game.
So what's the difference between positioning him here or from on the right or on the left? It has to do with the timings on the combat.
So the leader is always the one to the right because when we line up, our units are sort of the left side of the screen. So
Mm-hmm.
it would be at the right post, and they line up just how they're positioned. Currently, you have two characters, and with that one on. Eventually, you'll be able to have different classes. This will be all filled up with 6 characters, and you can
Okay.
position who goes at the back, who goes at the front.
And what are the advantages and disadvantages of having them on the front, them on the back? Uh,
Mm.
how does it work?
So their positions are not fixed in combat. The guy in the back will move to the front. So it really is
Okay.
important when you want to determine who will act first, who will risk a few melee hits, uh, and that's so typically maybe you want to put like a guard in front to protect the rest of your party.
Okay.
A bittersweet reunion as they discover their camp had been further ravaged by adventurers. The goblin lies barely breathing.
Being a goblin is
Their
sad.
abundant loot was no treasure, but medicines direly needed for their wounded. With their loot now lost, they wallow in despair. A queer sensation interrupts the morose scene. As the stone artifact acts on its own accord, the group beholds the spectacle, agape with wonder. The languishing goblin is bathed in a warm glow. Its wounds
Yeah, these
slowly
illustrations look
mend
amazing.
as it
They're
returns
incredible.
to health. As the
We
fight
have a lot of
subsides,
them made.
bewilderment
Took quite a
gradually gives
while.
way to
Yeah, they're really
joy.
cool. So, looking back at the development cycle, all the years you had been working on this game, uh, what were
Reunited,
what were
they now
the
set
biggest
out for the
challenges you had to
forest's
overcome
edge.
on your end, on your personal end, and on the team's end?
So yeah, I think it's finding the people to work with this on a limited budget. We're not funded. This is entirely self game,
Okay.
and we don't have a publisher, so we are pretty much putting out our our own funds happen. So we have to be able to staff up properly to make a game with this vision, and I think that was the most difficult challenge that we had. It actually led us to move locations because this was originally founded. The company was
The way
originally
is
founded in
shut, the way is
California.
shut.
We eventually migrated uh, to to the Philippines and built our studio here because I think there's a lot of good talent here, and it's a lot more cost effective to do to a game that way.
They
So I would say that
charge
would
upon
be
the
the number
goblin,
one biggest challenge that we've
concealed
had,
by the
Okay.
stench.
and it
A
sort
small
of
cove
also
of
contributed to
unclaimed meat and
why
giblets.
it would take so long to for us to create a game because we had to ramp up slowly. We had to make sure we team.
So I suppose this game is made
Among the treasure,
pretty much on
a
part time
tome
from your team, right? Because since you're
what
not
might
funded,
it unlock?
you don't have
Oh
a lot.
no, this This is my full-time job, has always been
Oh,
since
okay.
since I
Awesome.
started on it. Yeah.
Okay.
But
Very
yeah,
well.
it we had a significant amount of our funds reserved for making this game possible.
Okay. So I guess I found the key, so it should work on this door.
Yeah, so now we have sort of branching paths.
Mhm.
When you get to like regular adventures, we will be able to count this where you'll have to choose if you go up or, and sometimes those are irreversible choices. We'll be able to see what comes in the next room though eventually, when those levels start appearing.
They're filthy more
Yeah, they're wrapping up at least with 4 HP. Okay, so these cards are not fixed. You don't have like a deck to build, or how does it work?
So it's quite interesting. Each class has its own set of abilities. So now you have two classes. You have a peon and a raider. The raider's the guy with the red hat. Peons really only have two or three abilities to choose from. But the goblins with specific classes, like the raider and maybe the guard later on, have 4 abilities equipped. It shuffles. So you can sort of think about goblins who have maybe a short attention span. They don't always memorize all the abilities that they, so they will only be able to access 2 out of the 4. So it is shuffle. So in terms of deck, if you had classes on the team, each with their own kind of mini, that's sort of the element of deck building. So if it's not a true deck builder in that sense.
So the part that I'm playing right now, the permadeath already applies, right? If one of my characters die, they're dead for good.
I believe in the tutorial it's sort of from that. So
Okay.
so if something wrong happens, you lose all, you'll still be able to progress to past the tutorial.
Okay, at least my pride is protected of the tutorial. Okay, that's good. Okay, one more. Can you tell me about the game? Where can people expect to play it whenever it's released? Does that work?
It's releasing first on Steam when it first comes out. Then we do have plans to bring it to console, to port it to PlayStation and Xbox. Further down the line, hopefully we can accomplish that in this coming year. But which will have to be funded, and we're looking to start that once the studio starts earning income.
Okay.
So as of now, it will be able to on Steam.
Okay, for the people that might be arriving now and are just watching the D&D stream, Vince actually told us that the game is expected to be releasing in the beginning of 2024. So it's just a few months out, actually. So if you're curious, you know where to get it. Is there a page already on Steam? Can people wish list it?
Yes, you can go to Steam, wishlist it, and also it's not going to be what we're seeing here. This is a special build served for the X. But the demo itself is quite short. It encompasses 1 level, and you get to sort of a taste of what a typical experience might be like, and it includes multiple classes, different events along the adventure, a randomly rated sort of dungeon, and a boss at the end.
Okay. Yeah, I just noticed on chat that Rebecca just left the link there for Steam. So if you're interested, you know where to get it.
They enter a deeper part of
So I'm gonna ask you as well, how important, since you're telling us that this is the first time you're showcasing your game live, at least on this format. So how important it is for you and your team to be able to showcase it here at IndieX?
It's actually quite exciting for us, and like I said, it's a first for me to do this, to be able to finally show kind of what we've been working on to most of the world. we really just hope the reception, people get to see it and talk about it, and they get to see what kind of game we from Goblin Stone. There's some new and interesting things that we've iterated on and included in this game, and we're just really happy that we're able to show in the format it's in right now, which is it's actually near. Um, if ever in the past we've shown anything, it's usually a lot more than what we're seeing now.
Okay, so I'm recruiting more people now. And this one is another.
Yes,
It's another
that'll be
class,
a
right?
guard. So this kind of character, he's got a shield there.
Okay. Yeah, they have different stats. I'm just gonna compare them. Okay, what can I expect from the differences between the different stats, like body, mind, spirit, power, armor? What are they expected to provide to our character?
So the body, mind, and spirit are sort of the main attributes of the character. They influence sort of the attributes or the stats themselves. So more body means more hit points. More spirit allows, for example, better healing.
Okay.
And also these attributes are linked to the class. For example, a guard relies heavily on body, while shaman heavily on spirit for their effectiveness. And then for the raider you have here, the mind stat affects his crit ability, which is very important for the class. And we haven't talked about that. Actually, interesting and important to this game is that these attributes can go up and down depending on a mechanic that we have later on, which is breeding. So you can read these, like I mentioned,
Okay.
they die off pretty often, and with going with the theme of goblins and multiplying, which is the part of the story of what we're trying to do here, is repopulate the world with. We're kind of on the brink of extinction from being
Okay.
over adventured. Get to breed these goblins, then you can like with greater stats, different appearances, different genes, passes. There's actually a lot, but since this is early in the game, we sort of don't touch at this moment. This does not overwhelm the player. Once we get later in the game and we unlock the home base, we can see how it functions, um, how it brings a different dimension to sort of roguelike games.
Okay, so we just gone through a part at two different paths to choose, and like the game said to me, I can't go back. The path is blocked. So why did you choose to go this path, like with different routes? It was like something about to have more replayability. I mean, what was the thought behind the process to deciding of this multi-path way of playing the game?
So, like a true in the roguelike fashion, the decisions really matter. And that actually an interesting story. That wasn't always the case. We had more of like an open world where you can like go to one branching path all the way to the end and try to explore the whole place. Kind of like games like Ori and the things like that, where you can just basically map and complete everything before you decide to exit. And what we found out is that it didn't interesting as we thought it would, and it was actually a lot more to create I guess decent usually generated levels in that style, where you have circles and locks and keys, and they didn't have the same impact. What we found out is that we need decision points or places in the game where we place the player in a position where they have to choose what to do, and those choices being made those decisions a lot more likely.
Yeah.
About a nearby ruin in these woods. Barely noticing their presence, the orc wipes away a tear.
I have one more question, but let me just go back to the game just to show you.
Politely
Then you
thanking the
can
grieving
explain.
orc. The goblins discreetly withdraw and leave him to his sorrow.
So if I go to the map and I could see this before choosing a path, There's some icons in here that you can see. The path that shows as harvest and treasure. The other one has the same thing, but the other way around. So in this here, it's I suspect it's gonna be another split of the path. So this is an indication of what I can expect to see, or is like just more of a clue. There's not and that's it's not guaranteed that I'm gonna find it there.
So had those hidden, and it was for a difficult experience because we can't really make a good judgment on where to go without the proper information. So what we
Okay.
did is we sort of allowed the player to prove what they can expect and then choose the best path according to what their need is at the moment. Do they need
Okay.
healing? Are they down one man? Do they need to recruit another? All those factors will affect the decision.
They settle in.
I don't think we've talked about this. We've talked about permadeath, but you have to go back to the beginning of the game if the entire party dies during a quest.
Since you reach the home base or the goblins, for example, you go on a quest, you encounter a very difficult party wipes. You go back to the home base and then you can refill your adventuring team with fresh
Okay.
recruits, and then you can try the adventure again. Things like your weapons, I think those all get saved, so you don't totally lose. But is built so that it allows you to recover from a difficult situation.
Okay, we should be getting into a boss. At least that's what the map indicates. At least that's the case. First, we have against the wolves again.
So we have different sort of status effects in this game, and you can build a specific group around it. We have the stun, there's bleed, and there are also resistances to these status effects, and you'll be able to see them to each if you sort of over the character. So you kind of would want to be mindful if you're trying to stun the guy, if to make sure that his stun resistance wouldn't sort of impede your plans.
Okay, so right here in the right corner, I have like zeros for each stat effect. So
That's correct.
being zero
Yeah.
is it's
It's
they're
like a
not
guaranteed stun if your ability
Okay.
has stun.
This one has bleed as well, so it should be. Okay, I also have like a chance to not bleed, to not have the stat effects go up.
It depends on the actual. For that one, it was your weapon ability, which is has a small amount or chance to bleed, and then there's
Okay.
also actual skills that belong to the class, which may guarantee a bleed. So this, for example, guarantees a stun.
Yeah.
And then you have these, for example, like the raider has an ability that if the enemy is stunned, he gets an extra hit in.
Mhm.
And if he has bleed, the same thing. Or there's sometimes if the enemy's bleeding, it just refreshes the bleed, adds another one.
Just beyond an old, forgotten watchtower, held fast by a great forest.
I suppose these different materials we have, these are used to create that base you were talking about, or maybe create some weapon.
Absolutely, yeah. These are a very important component that I need later to create your goblin lair. Able to build rooms, which all serve different functions. You can upgrade the rooms. You
Okay.
can up the ancestors hall, which is basically like the town hall, which controls the depth of how deep you can build your lair, how much you can upgrade, all of that. So materials are the main components of those. That comes in a bit late after the sort of first chapter.
Humans have taken domain. The road ahead will
Okay,
not
so
be
this should be another fight. Those with armor are to beat, reduce the amount of damage they take from attack. Okay, special effects like bleed will ignore armor. Can we know what special effects ignore the armor of our opponents? Does it say there's a way
I believe you have
to know
to.
this?
Yes, through the tooltips, bleed is one. The status effects change over time. All bypass the armor.
Okay.
Don't are you're direct. If you suppose say for 10, the guy has 2 armor, you'll be hitting for 8.
Okay, let's see if we can make him bleed. They have resistant to stun. There's a 20% chance they will not be stunned, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna try it. I'm gonna go with my luck. 80% chance is still
All right.
a good amount.
And it goes up too. If he's stunned, his resistance will increase. So to stun him again, he might not that receptive to
okay. There we go.
stunned.
Yeah. They still stand, so I'm trying to attack him.
So these you're seeing are the typical adventurers. And throughout the game, there's different variety. We have like clerics. There's even bards, wizards, just different members of a typical adventuring party, and sometimes you'll see them together with their humans, arbs. And if you met the one of in the early story, so for the goblins, they get to meet also creatures that are experiencing the same kind of what they are. So we have the orcs, for example, and then we have gnolls being oppressed by us later in the story by a certain group of menfolk. You also have trolls later on also.
So we finished up this combat sequence that it allowed me to explore more about the different affinities and the different special abilities. So because I made sure to stun them all the time, so they can attack me. And yeah, Vince. So we're finishing up this demo here. So I'm gonna ask you if there's like anything you'd like to say, anything you'd like to tell the audience that is watching us to make them like try the game for themselves. So the space is all yours.
Please download the demo if you can, and that if you could also join our Discord server, which has information that's coming out. We regularly pump out information of like what we're working on right now, how close we are, and the different things that we have in the works. And if you're able to wishlist the game on Steam, that's incredible. That definitely helps us a lot with Goblin Stone and for a good release. And we're really looking to be able to put this game out so that you all can working on it for many years now, and it to us to be able to get the game in your hands so you can enjoy.
Awesome. Can people also follow you on social media? So to know more about the game, do you have any social media channels for the studio?
We have Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, and also we have a Reddit subreddit as well. It's if you really want to Discord there.
Okay, awesome, Vince. I'd like to thank you for being here to showcase Goblin Stone. It was the first game on the third game of IndieX, and I just wish you the best of luck when you release the game.
Thank you for experiencing the game with you. Thanks for playing it.
No, it was amazing. It was amazing. I love the game. I love the narrative. I love the illustrations that you have that you shown here. And I mean, you said it. There were more than 100 illustrations made for the entire game, for the entire narrative. So it should be an amazing experience for everyone playing. And at home, thank you so much for watching the first session of IndieX today. We're gonna have a lot more coming up in the next hours. It should be like until at least more like 9 more hours. So you still have a lot of games to know, a lot of games to see, and I mean, just make sure to help these teams, to help these studios, because they do love what they do. They do love what they do, and they're trying really hard to get into this industry that has some really passionate gamers on yourself. So thank you so much for being here today, Vince. Again, thank you so much, and we'll see you next time, and we'll see you in the next game right after a quick break. See you there.
Thank you.
Since days beyond recall, adventurers have roamed these lands. But within each story lies a hidden tale. For the heroes of this tale are those who have suffered the most. Goblins. And now, They fight back. Their journey requires strength, wit, and skill. Expand their lair and grow their numbers. The road is long, and the world vast. But do not despair, for a great power will guide them. The time of the goblins has finally come.